All right, let's read that bracha. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan Torah. Amen. Blessed are you, Lord God, King of the universe, who gives the Torah of truth and the good news of salvation to his people Israel, and to all the people through his son Yeshua the Messiah, Lord. Amen. All right, jump into 1 Peter. Okay, Abba. All right, last week we discussed what? Before someone very clever says 1 Peter 3.
Isaiah.
52 into 53. We spoke about submission and what that means. We spoke about becoming zealous for what is good, and then we had a very little interesting portion there with Noah near the end, and how that represented, or he was talking about that even in the time of Noah, God was calling out to his people to stop, and they did not listen. Okay? We're going to go into, if I remember correctly, we finished that and we go straight into chapter 4. All right. So in the back of your mind, I want you guys to be, at least with those who are taking notes, remember that everything he addresses is busy talking about something. And the reason he's talking about that is because it's an issue. So he wants to give correct understanding. So in your notes, where you start looking at the why and what is the problems, as we did in the beginning, you are marking them off, or at least making an educated guess at what the issue is. All right? That'll be something that you can lean back on. If submission is an issue, means, somebody help me out here, what does it mean? To be accountable to. So if I'm accountable to God, if I'm accountable to the people I work for, if I'm accountable to my husband, if I'm accountable to my wife, if I'm accountable to my congregation, etc., etc., what does that mean for me, and how am I supposed to act? Okay, so everybody more or less happy up until that point? Lovely. Let's look at chapter 4. Therefore, since the Messiah suffered physically, you are to arm yourselves with the same attitude. What is he trying to get to? Remember, he spoke a little bit before. He talks about how Noah prefigures the mikvah, the removal of sin, promise of resurrection, and that he was persecuted, and now he's sitting at the right hand of God. He says, therefore, since Messiah suffered, arm yourself with the same attitude. Why is that something we need to address? Creak, creak. This is interactive. I don't know if you've noticed.
Because we will suffer as he did.
Right. If you think you're going to walk into this and it's going to be a popularity contest, then you are sorely mistaken. That does not mean I get to terrorize people because I believe I'm going to be persecuted, so I persecute first. You don't need to Bible bash people. You just need to step up and reflect God and do it with love and compassion to try and help them understand who He is. That's the point. All right? But don't think this is going to be easy. There are moments where you will be on top of the mountain and everything will be fine, and there will be moments when you're going to be walking through the valley of the shadow of death. It happened to everyone. Everyone who really goes through has moments with God, has deep valleys and really high highs. So you have moments with Him when you're holding on and you can see Him through all the difficulty, and the other times you're standing on top of the mountain and you get His perspective. And all of a sudden things become clear. Okay? For whoever has suffered physically is finished with sin, with the result that he lives the rest of his earthly life no longer controlled by human desires, but by God's will. All right, so here we have an interesting dynamic plays out very quickly. Us what we want. Right. If I have mikvah, if I have decided to take on this yoke, walk in accordance with that kingdom, if I have given my life over to Him, if I have said I want you with everything I have, then by whose design and guidance do I walk? By God. So let me summarize this in a different way. Important to you. Should be the way God sees it. Should be God's identity. Should be God's perspective. Should be God's mitzvot, not your own. Right? You gave up your right. Because when you steered the ship, you crashed into everything you saw. But when God steers the ship, you have to let go of the steering wheel, and you don't get to tell Him, no, I'm not doing that because I want to do this. We need to let go of self. Your desires mean it's about you. God's desires mean it's about Him. Why do I fulfill mitzvot? What should the heart condition be to fulfill the instructions? Mitzvah means if I do this, it has a connotation. If I do this, I'll be pleasing to my Father. I bring a smile to His face when I choose what is right. And I make Him unhappy to choose what is wrong. Guys, we have to pre-program ourselves that every decision we make is going to reflect God. Or it's going to reflect self. So I need to just take stock sometimes, and He says, although, God died for you, you left that, you need to be finished with sin. Sin, as defined by John, was what? Okay? Lawlessness. Tell me them. Simple enough? Make it simpler. That's all it is. Our way. God tells you to do it this way, you say, no, I'm going to do it my way. God says, do this, you say, I don't really want to, so I will do this instead. Okay? Love goes out the room when it's all about me and not about God, because you follow God's mitzvot because you... What does 1 John 5 teach us? We do it because we love. And if love is our motivation is to please Him. We really want to make an impact in the fact that He gave us life, the fact that He chose us, the fact that He has died for me. My gratefulness for that moment should define the rest of my life. And every time I grow, I should apply it even more and more. Not less and less. Not the more I know, the less I apply. The more I know, the best I can then take it and I can apply it to the best of my ability. Every day is a choice. Every day you choose. Will I serve God today or will I serve myself? Or am I going to give Him half the day and I'm going to take the other half for myself? How do I balance it? Okay, guys, we need to get stopped into this motif where we think we can justify our responses. You should be finished with sin, going against God. You should no longer live your earthly life, no longer controlled by human desires, but by God's will. For you have spent enough time already living the way the pagans want to live. You've done this for a really long time. Why do you want to get God, change, and then go back into the same cycle? Is that going to help you? No. Listen to what he says. Remember, we are dealing with some very interesting people in a great diaspora of places. And the great diaspora right now is very Rome-like, Hellenized. What does Hellenized mean? Greek thinking, right? Hellenism teaches us about different gods, teaches us about freedom of a whole bunch of weird and wonderful things, and it's all about you. Make your name great. Isn't that what Alexander the Great lived and died for? Everybody will remember my name. He wanted to establish a kingdom. He wanted to show how great and vast Greece is. You're either building your kingdom or you're building his. One will have eternal consequences for the good. The other one is going to fade into history. Eternal consequences for the bad. It says, in debauchery, lust, drunkenness. Okay, remember Roman culture. Orgies, wild parties, and forbidden idol worship. When these guys had one foot in the world, they were all in. And that was considered normal. If we think about churches today or synagogues today, how many people understand that going into the building is not what makes you a Christian or a Jew? How many people focus on, I'm here because I have to, but when I leave, I can do whatever I like? So we go in and we live our lives. Have we come far away from this? Debauchery in the Greek is the word for sensuality. Do we find that in churches? Yeah? Drunkenness? Oh, yeah. Orgies, sadly. We know of certain places that actually have key swapping parties in their church buildings. Wild parties? Idol worship? Can we look at this and go, yeah, these people have lost the plot, and then we refuse to look at our own back garden? This is as relevant today as it was written then. That should be sad. Because with all we know and all the power of the Ruach HaKodesh has done for all of us, we still choose to ignore. We still choose ourselves. We still choose to look the other way. They think it's strange that you don't plunge in with them into the same flood of dissoluteness, and so they heap insults on you. But they will have to give an account to him who stands ready to judge the living and the dead. When you decide to walk away from the world's norms, what normally happens? Some delightful words follow you, right? You're a no-no. You're confused. You're naive. Sorry? You're in bondage. You're a wannabe Jew. Fellowship specific. Oh yes, cult worship is quite popular. It's one of those words that go on. You know, whatever they want to do, they will throw at you, because what's actually happening is they're seeing that you're refusing their way of life. When you refuse their way of life, think about it. In a Greek mindset culture, if I'm right, you're... So if I can show you that you're being right, then I'm building myself up. Anybody experience something like this ever? More than we care to imagine, right? We think it only should happen with one person. It's not just one person. It happens continually. But yeah, God says, don't worry about them. They will have to give an account. Guys, let God be the judge. You know, when he gives us Torah, he says, correct one another. We don't go out and judge the world for being the world. Don't expect the world to give you anything else but the world. They're going to give you brokenness, they're going to give you discord, they're going to give you fighting, they're going to give you drunkenness, they're going to give you lust, and they're going to justify the whole lot of it. But it is not your place to judge the world, that's God's job. Everybody's going to give an account for what they've done. But when you come into this building, we don't judge. What are we supposed to do in this building? Do we judge in the way the world judges, or do we judge the way Yeshua judged? Remember, judgment is not just about bringing the... Judge also means to correct in love, to lead, to show people the right way. Now, we've been taught the wrong way. So when I judge someone, I belittle, I break down, and I say you're a non and you're doing something wrong. Doesn't change the fact that they're probably doing something wrong, but do I have to belittle them in the process of doing it? No. I can come around you and I can say, well, that was a whoopsie. Want to talk about it? What led you to make that decision? Why did you think that was going to be okay? And slowly help them to see that maybe something here was misrepresented. Maybe it was more of this than this. And to catch them in the process, pick up the pieces and say, all right, are you going to learn from this? Or are you going to run again? You know, the time and time again, when you see your little kids running around and doing stuff, and then you'll warn them and you'll warn them and you'll warn them, and then eventually the parent in you just goes, I'm going to wait a little bit. I told you not to do that. No? I used to love it for you. Says, I always spoke to you, Gabby, twice. Don't play with the bunny ears. Don't play with the bunny ears. Says, okay, and then he'd sit in. It's like, are you going to listen to daddy now? And he's installed in her when he speaks, there's normally a consequence of what you're going to do, and it's going to hurt you, my darling, but I'm going to be standing here and wait for you. When you're ready to listen, then I can tell you why. So now when daddy speaks, she stops and she goes, what's going to happen if I carry on with this? Right? It's not so much the fear of daddy. There's a part where that has to come out. But there's a part where I have to now judge because someone has given me a warning, and now I have to make sure that I need to check what I'm doing is okay. Because 9 times out of 10, you're the one that cries. This is why he has proclaimed to those who have died. This is an oddly phrased passage, but listen carefully. It was so that although physically they would have received judgment common to all humanity, that by the Spirit the way that God has provided. This is why they proclaim those who have died. What do you guys have there? Verse 6. Huh? Now again, like we spoke a portion before, he told not the fact that people die, he gives them a dead, not just advance scripture. Take it. It's going to those who to the that would they're going to get away from God. Yeshua says judgment by the Spirit in the way God has provided. Is dead. He's talking. normally just after Pesach, right? Usually they celebrated what they call Last Supper, like it's a Pesach meal. And afterwards they go out to pray at Gethsemane. Right? Remind me again, why did they go out to pray at Gethsemane? The base of filling. It's a night of vigil. Right? It says this will be a night of vigil for you, it's written down in Exodus 12. You need to be alert and be paying attention. Watch. God is going to do something. And if they were paying attention, they would have known that something good was about to happen. Okay? Same picture. God judged one of the lost gods in Egypt. And God here is going to be judging mankind's sin to the point of setting them free. The same picture as Egypt. So they go up to the place of the Lord of prayer. It says, then Yeshua went with his Talmidim to a place called Gad Shimon, or Shemanim, and said to them, sit here while I go over there to pray. He took with him Kepha and Zadai, 2 sons. Grief and anguish came over them, and he said to them, my heart is so full with sadness that I should die, that I could die. Remain here and stay awake with me. Go on a little further, he followed his face, praying, my Father, is it possible to let this cup pass from me, yet not what I want, but what you want? Remind me on the board behind me, right? He returned to his Talmidim and found they were sleeping. He said to Kepha, were you so weak that you couldn't stay awake stay awake with me for even an hour? Stay awake and pray that you will not be put to test. The spirit indeed is eager, but the human nature is weak. A second time he went off and he prayed, my Father, if this cup cannot pass away unless I drink it, then what you want be done. Again he returned and found them sleeping. Their eyes were so heavy. Leaving them again, he went to pray the third time, saying the same words. Then he came to his Talmidim, he said, for now go on sleeping and take your rest. Look, the time has come for the Son of Man is being betrayed into the hands of sinners. Get up, let's go, and here comes another betrayal. Be alert and self-controlled so that you can pray. The accomplishing of the goals of all the things is close at hand. If we believe that we're in the time that Messiah can come at any minute, how alert are you? How focused are you? Or are you too busy running around wondering about your stuff, doing your things, how you want to do it, planning your life? And if Messiah comes while you're interrupt that plan, or is Messiah the plan? And if he tarries, I'll see you later. I'll see you next week. We need to change our thinking. We need to be alert. If he came today, what would we find? We need to get focused. Alert and self-control. Verse 8. More than anything, keep loving each other actively, because love covers many sins. Somebody said it, love covers many sins. It's a remnant, right? Who's going to help out with the remnant? Proverbs what?
Yeshua is
Proverbs 10 verse 12. Someone jump to 10 verse 12. If you read the whole Proverbs 10 is not seemingly pretty much all over the place. It talks about a whole bunch of stuff, so we're going to focus on just this verse, and he's going to be giving a whole bunch of things. Mike?
Hate stirs up disputes, but love covers all kinds of transgressions.
Right. Hate stirs up a whole bunch of disputes, but love covers a multitude of sins. So he's correcting them in a time of saying, listen guys, if you don't love each other, there's going to be a whole bunch of division going on. But if you're understanding the time you're in, you need to be loving each other and get close. You need to press in. Make sure there's no division. Make sure you're focusing on God. Welcome one another into your home without grumbling. There's a big issue going on here. We have to finish it with those people. How many of you treat your home like a sanctuary and you only let a selected few in? You know, we like to keep our heads up. No. South Africans are very good. We love our neighbors over our 17-foot wall. Behind our Rottweilers, our electric fence, and the panic button. But should we, I get it, we live in an unsafe place. But at the same time, should we treat our family in the same way? You know, the sages, I just love that one verse. They say, may your house be a meeting place for the sages. May you sit at their feet and drink their words thirstily. How often do we open up our homes to have godly discussions? How often do we share who we are, really share who we are? Or do we just, I'll see you when I see you, and not even select you to pass the front door? We need to start dropping the facade, and we need to start letting people in. We need to start letting people see us. Not your church face, not your synagogue face. I want to see you. Your reality. Why would I want to see that? So I can help, so we can be there in the times of difficulty. Guys, how many of you agree family is messy? Take up your hand. If we're making disciples, and these disciples got to the point where they were reclining on each other and eating out of each other's hands. You think that this man could be a little bit more than what we're allowing here at this time? Guys, if we don't get real with each other, we're never going to know why God sent certain people here, because maybe they've got a testimony to help you, but you refuse to let anyone in. You never let them know who you are. Maybe you've got a testimony that's supposed to help people and they refuse to let you in. Or maybe you're just going through a rough time and you want to know that there are other people that are also struggling, and that's okay, we can cry together. I don't want you to fix my situation, I just want to be there, stand next to me and tell me we're going to do this together. Let's not get to the place that we forget that the body works together. I don't know if you noticed, but if you just look at my hand, can I tell my knuckles not to touch my finger points? I got knuckles don't want to deal with my finger points right now, they're full of nonsense. And they're like, what are you talking about, man? They're all attached. Like this. So should you be. So should you be. Because if one piece of my finger is hurting, I can tell you the entire hand is hurting. We should be more sensitive. And if we're more involved in people's lives, I can tell you what, if you know that there's a lot of people watching, you'd be less opportunistic when it comes down to getting what you want. If I put myself in a room with 100 believers, how many of you think it would be okay for me to sin? Now, if I've got 100 believers walking with me every day, we'd be watching very carefully and we'd be sticking close, right? And if you talk to one of us, you're talking to all of us. If you chase one of us, you're chasing all of us. God didn't give you a body so you can exercise yourself. He gave you a body so you can press it. Don't open up your house and realize, hang on a second, you have the privilege of hosting God's people. He gave you that house so that you could. As each one has received some spiritual gift, He should use it to serve others. Like good managers of God's many-sided grace. If someone speaks, let him speak God's words. If someone serves, let him do so that in everything God may be glorified through Yeshua the Messiah. To him be the glory and the power forever and ever. Amen. Guys, God is your source. And you, so that other people would receive him. Not you. You all got wonderful, exciting personalities, but I can tell you what, you couldn't put a bunch of people that are more different in the same room. So what is it that holds this thing together? It's only him. And you have been gifted in your purpose. So operate in that. But do it to the edification of the entire body, not to the edification of self. It is about God, it's not about you. It is not your ministry, it is not your calling, it is God manifesting through you to save and bring others and hold them up so that they could give him glory. Nothing else. We are not creating people followers, we're creating Yeshua followers. If he was the greatest of every being, every person on earth, and he chose to be the least, and he chose to teach, to lift them up to a platform that no one would be able to get these guys. Remember, they were fishermen. They were considered untrainable. They would not be able to get to the next level. Everybody thought they couldn't make it, and he said, I'm going to get you. I'm going to make you into something that the world is going to marvel at. And with those 11 people, he changed the world. Judas chose to be part of that story, but he got a different account. Chose to change the world through that. Let me just say, he used the calling to do the miraculous. Could anybody look at these fishermen and go, wow, these guys did it, they really pulled it off, or did they go, there's no way he was so good by himself? The reason, and I'm going to say this nicely, the reason you're small and insignificant, and God chooses to use you, is so that his name will be glorified. Don't ever forget that. The world will tell you if you're small and insignificant, or you're special and unique just like everybody else, saying, to God be the glory. It's only for his name to be glorified. Guys, I don't want people to remember my name. I don't want people to remember your name. What I do want them to say is, I met a man or a woman of God and they changed my life. That's all that matters. If you can pick them up and you can lift up their heads and you can point them to God, especially in this time when people are doing their utmost, it feels like, to discredit him, or utmost to choose self and say it's okay, you need to be a balanced Christian. God on Sundays and the rest of the week it's you. Discipleship does not scream that. How do I become a living sacrifice? How do I pour myself out on behalf of God? How do I stand up and say it's all about him if I'm only about him one day a week? And we even struggle to do that. Verse 12. Dear friends, don't regard as strange the fiery ordeal occurring among you to test you, as if something extraordinary were happening to you. Rather, to the extent that you share the fellowship of the Messiah's sufferings, rejoice, so that you will rejoice even more when the Shekinah is revealed. The tough things you're going through, he says, smile. When Messiah went through difficulties, he changed the entire timeline of humanity. We used to understand that before Christ. When he came, oh man, everything changed. We used to understand that. And now,
take it for granted.
Rejoice even more when the Shekinah is revealed. Where was the Shekinah revealed? First, really came out and he pitched up in a big way. Shabbat, Mount Sinai, right? All of that testing, all of those trials, all of that grounding to see God. Waiting at that mountain, thinking you've lost the Moses, all of those difficulties to make a Mishkan with the Shekinah moved through. To wander through the wilderness, to face the Amalekites, to go through places of plenty and places of manna every day and places of there must be more. Yes, there is, we're going there, but hold on. All of those physical manifestations of it coming out to build up to what? For the Shekinah to fulfill in the temple many years later. And from the temple to be poured out on Acts 2 into people, and Acts 10 into you. To establish God's presence among you, to establish Emmanuel. And this entire understanding is that as he was revealed and the world did not stand up and take notice, you did. What are you doing? Through all of that difficulty, just so that you could see God. You know how many people will sell their fortunes just to get a word from him, but they refuse to pick up the Bible? They refuse to acknowledge that this is true. You have it on your shelf. If you are being insulted because you bear the name of Messiah, how blessed you are. For the spirit of the Shekinah, that is the spirit of God, is resting on you. Let none of you suffer for being a murderer or a thief or an evildoer or a meddler in other people's affairs. But if anyone suffers for being a follower, let him not be ashamed, but let him bring glory to God by the way he bears this name. You bear his name. You have it sealed on your forehead. You know who you belong to. God looks at you, act like it. But instead, sometimes you mock it, you scold it, and you treat yourself as common when he's called you holy. Are you common? Do you want to be common? What is the difference between you and the rest of the world? Isn't it amazing how we sit down, we look at each other and we treat each other as if you are nothing, but at the same time we forget the person standing where you bears the very image of God. Let him not be ashamed. For the time has come for the judgment to begin. It begins with the household of God. If you think God is going to shake heaven and earth, it's going to start here. Finding, holding, checking. You say you want to follow, do you really? You say you want to process, you say you want to stand up, you say you want to be a disciple, you say you love God, do you really? Or you just love it when you get your way? And if it starts with us, what will the outcome be for those who are disobeying God's good news? And he quotes a remedy that says, if the righteous is barely delivered, where will the ungodly and sinful end up? So let those who are suffering according to God's will entrust themselves to a faithful Creator by continuing to do what is good. Is God trustworthy? Will He deliver you? Will He deliver you the way you want to or the way He wants to? What does it mean to entrust someone? Case. I think what does it mean to entrust somebody? One verse. you entrust yourself, if I trust somebody,
It's saying assign responsibility for doing something.
so if I have assigned responsibility, and you've given God the responsibility to look after you, you've given Him the responsibility of your life, you've given Him the responsibility to take hold of where you are, you've given Him the responsibility. Is He faithful to deliver? What are the conditions of that entrusting?
If you obey.
What is your job, Morgan? What is your responsibility to your job? If you've given your life to Him, what do you have to do? Okay, what else? So you just say, if you just pitch up to church, is that enough?
It's never true.
No. First, Shema. Shema. If you hear and obey, if you're truly focused, if you're truly there and you've decided to make a decision to do this, through rejection, through temptation, through it all, I get to know that God is there by my side. As long as you walk with Him, there's the promise that no matter what happens at the end of it all, there's resurrection, there's new life, there's all of these issues are going to be eventually dealt with. Or you can create your own issues now and then run into mountain after mountain.
Okay, just to clarify, like you're saying, it's not just about following these guys. You can follow these guys just because they're doing this. They might be raised from home where it doesn't feel good. You don't have a personal relationship. You don't do hard force, then it's easy.
Who and what are you following?
Sure.
Right. So you're following Yeshua, and that's a picture of what?
Torah?
Where are in the Old Testament before Yeshua got in? What did they follow? They followed God. And because they followed God, they got Torah. And because they got Torah, they were able to obey. They were able to distinguish between themselves and the rest of the world. You were able to become holy through God's holiness because you reflected Him and Him alone. Not everybody else in the way they understand things and what everybody else thinks is okay. I get to find out what God thinks is okay and do that. If Yeshua followed God, it's because of relationship. If we follow Yeshua, we follow God, we get Torah. Guys, you're not following rules. You're following the one who made the rules. Never take your eyes off the fact that you sit down just because you put on sit that now everything is fine. Just because you sit in fellowship here, if you're not focused on the word that's here, and you're not taking it and applying it, then you're just here. Disciples understood, disciples applied, disciples understood where they were going and what they were aiming for. I need you guys to stop thinking that this is just a place where you gather, and I need you to start thinking that this is a place where you hear the word of God, you learn, you apply. This is a place you hear it so that you can go obey it. Problem is, for the most part, we really have to get down with it. The big question is, especially for us young ones, do I love myself more or do I love God more? It's something that people will be challenged with their entire life. Every day you get to make a choice on whether you're going to put God first or put yourself first. And I can tell you your fruit defines your choice. If you want to lift your name up, that's what will happen. If you want to lift God's name up, miraculous things will happen. You either live in the miraculous or you live in self. It's your choice. Everybody happy? Yes. Alright. Praise God is every time.